One Washington County delegation, and oh my God, there he is, bigger than life, Will Wyvil.
Thank you, Kumar the Magnificent. Congratulations on your Casper Taylor Award.
Thank you.
Well deserved, well deserved.
Thank you.
I am here to present House Bill 1291, Maryland Zero Emission Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Council membership. This bill basically comes at the request of a large truck vehicle manufacturer in Washington County, and you do like, good to know. They actually do excellent work in research. They built a research facility in Hagerstown and are making great strides in improving operations of heavy trucks. So what they're asking for is basically that the membership be altered to a representative on the council of a light duty, and then differentiate that from a heavy duty plug-in electric drive vehicle manufacturer. So it's a very simple bill. It does have a Senate cross file, and I do ask for a favorable report.
Wonderful, yes. My vice chair read the bill and assured me it was A-OK. No sneaky provisions inserted.
None. We would never do that in Western
No,
Maryland.
of course you wouldn't.
Never.
Yeah. Okay, so any questions for our prodigal member? No. Okay, awesome. So you escape unscathed.
Thank you very much.
And that, yes, emeritus member, okay. That concludes the public hearing on House Bill 1291. Let's proceed to Senate Bill 848. Who is here to present for that? Please give us your name, and she'll have 4 minutes when she starts. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Lola Odioye, here on behalf of Senator Gazzoni to present Senate Bill 848, Statewide Rental Assistance Voucher Program Establishment, which passed the Senate unanimously. Senate Bill 848 establishes a statewide rental assistance voucher program administered by the Department of Housing and Community Development and Public Housing Authorities to provide vouchers and housing assistance payments for low-income families that are on a waiting list under the Federal Housing Choice Voucher Program. The bill requires that the department and each public housing agency must prioritize vouchers and housing assistance payments for families that include a child who is under the age of 18, a foster child, a military veteran, an individual experiencing homelessness, a disabled individual, or an elderly individual. The governor must include $15 million in the annual budget bill for the program in fiscal 2025 through 2027, and sufficient amounts in future years to fund the same number of vouchers. The bill authorizes the DHCD to adopt implementing regulations. The federal government's Housing Choice Voucher Program helps very low-income families, the elderly, and the disabled afford quality housing in the private market. The voucher is provided to the family or individual, which empowers the participant to find the type of housing that fits their needs, including single-family homes, townhomes, and apartments. Unfortunately, federal funding limitations mean that only 10% of eligible households receive a federal voucher. Of those eligible households, 84% waited more than a year to receive assistance. Maryland families are required to wait multiple years before receiving assistance. The Maryland Multi-Housing Association, along with Delegate Janelle Wilkins, the House sponsor on this cross-file, reviewed a number of suggested amendments from various stakeholders and accepted the vast majority of those amendments which are included in the bill. These include definitional changes, mirroring federal terms, adding foster children to the priority list, increasing the administrative fee for the public housing authorities, and expanding the time for an individual to file with authority. Aaron Greenfield from the MMHA is here and available to answer any questions. Thank you, and I ask for a favorable report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the legislative aide to the senator? Well, seeing none, it seems very straightforward. Probably that's why there are no questions. So thank you for having presented, and that ends the public hearing, therefore, on Senate Bill 848. We'll proceed to Senate Bill 971. Senator James sends her legislative aide, Bob Enton, to speak on her behalf. Bob, you will get 4 minutes, which is something that will never again happen.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Robert Enton. And I come before you today on behalf of the Real Property section of the Maryland State Bar Association. My law firm, Gordon Feinblatt, is headquartered in Baltimore. has a very significant real estate practice, and the attorneys at my firm are very proactive in the State Bar Association, and they asked me if I would help out with the real property section on a bill this year. So you have before you Senate Bill 971. And with me today is Bill O'Connell. Bill O'Connell is the chairman of the real property section of the State Bar. He's the vice president and Maryland State Counsel for First American Title Insurance Company. This bill is supported by the real property section of the bar, supported by the Maryland Land Title Association, and supported by the clerks of court for the state of Maryland. So the clerks of every local court support this bill. So what the bill does is the bill helps to facilitate the recordation of documents. Every deed, every mortgage, every easement needs to be recorded at the courthouse in the clerk's office. And if it's not recorded, then people can't find out, is there a mortgage? Who owns the property? Is there a lien on it? Is there a right-of-way? But the process has become very cumbersome over the years and makes it difficult to go to settlement because there are so many municipal and town, local government charges that it's very hard to go to settlement and know exactly what liens are out there. So this bill creates a process by which the counties can issue a lien certificate 45 days prior to settlement, and the parties to the transaction can rely on that lien certificate and can go to closing in reliance on it. Once again, it's supported by the clerks of court and supported by the title insurance companies and by the real property section. The other thing that the bill does is the bill says that the clerks of court and the finance offices in the counties shall work together to try to make this process more reliable, make it happen quicker. As you all know, the seller and the buyer, what is the main thing that they want to do is they want to get to the settlement table. And under the current process, it can take days, it can take weeks. And even if once you go to the settlement table, you don't know for sure whether or not all the local liens have been satisfied. So what this bill does is it creates a system that parties to a real estate transaction, we're talking probably mostly commercial transactions, can rely on that process going forward. I'm happy to answer any questions. You have Senator James's written testimony. Attached to that is a document from Mr. O'Connell. You'll also see an email from the clerks of court from Catherine Hager, the clerk of the Circuit Court for Queen Anne's County, speaking on behalf of all the clerks of court in support of the document. So
Okay.
with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I'm not an expert on this, but Mr. O'Connell has.
Okay,
If
well,
I
my-
can't answer him, he can.
My understanding is that nobody testified against this bill in the Senate. Is that correct, Matt?
There was no testimony against it, Mr. Chairman. It
Okay.
passed out of judicial proceedings unanimously, 11-0, and passed 47-0 on the floor of the Senate.
Oh, yes, that's so meaningful to us. Delegate Terraza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Enton. I just want to make sure I understand this. This doesn't change the timing, it just changes that the certification that they're going to rely on comes from the court. I'm trying to figure out what's changing about this.
What's changed about this is for the first time, there will actually be a document issued by the Finance Committee in the county
Okay,
that they will issue, and then once they issue that document, you can rely on that document and go to settlement, provided you go
Okay.
to settlement within 45 days.
okay. And is that the same timing you would normally be getting the title information that you have? I mean, in other words, so if somebody goes and records something during that 45 days? What happens to that sale?
Well, I think, you can go,
Okay.
I mean, it says you can rely on this certificate for a period of 45 days. If you don't go to settlement within that 45-day period, then if you want to be able to rely on a certificate, you'd have to apply for a new certificate.
No, I mean, what if somebody else goes to settlement on the property in between?
The period of time it takes to go to settlement varies from county to county, from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Everyone agrees that we need to have a more uniform
Yeah.
process, and that's what this establishes.
Yeah, I'm not objecting to that. I'm just making sure, however it would have worked before, it works now in terms of if, let's say the seller of commercial property sells off a piece of the property during that 45 days in between to somebody else, and
Well,
that
it
gets
doesn't
recorded.
deal with necessarily a sale of the property. It just deals with liens on the
Oh,
property.
just on the, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the witness? Well, seeing none, thank you very much, Mr. Enton. That concludes the public
Thank you,
hearing
Mr.
on
Chairman.
Senate Bill 971. We are now going to go to our voting session, and we will need 2 or 3 minutes to set up, so don't go too far.